This past Thursday, Facebook celebrated their 13th anniversary by declaring it Friends Day, because they get to make holidays now. They're big enough. Did any of you see your own personalized Friends Day video on Facebook or one that a friend posted? Yes. Yeah. I see some really tentative nods like, where are you going with this? For those of you who didn't see it, don't worry. You did not miss much. It was a dancing figure made up of pictures of your Facebook friends and little like and love symbols. At the end, it declared, "Your friends make you, you." Aw, right? It was painfully cheesy. And I would have ignored it altogether had it not been for the fact that this month's theme is identity. And that statement, "Your friends make you, you," is all about identity and relationship. Apparently, even Facebook knows that our relationships shape us, that without one another, we would not be who we are today. And so I wanted to expand that phrase. It said, "Your friends make you, you." But what about your relationships make you, you? Your communities make you, you. Maybe even your church makes you, you. Yeah, you got it. Now, several years ago, I was at a retreat for seminarians at which we did the exercise that I asked you all to engage in during our Story for All Ages. Except, you know how you were uncomfortable? We didn't just do it for a minute. We each had, I don't remember if it was 10 or 15 minutes, to be in the role of asker and responder. Which of course sounded like an unbearably long time to a self-conscious introvert like myself. Despite my apprehension, it was a powerful experience for me, both as listener and as speaker. To consider those questions was a way of thinking of identity that was far removed from the typical individualistic way of approaching that topic to which I was accustomed. Who needs you? Who loves you? To whom are you accountable? To whom do you answer? Whose life is altered by your choices? With whose life, whose lives, is your own all bound up inextricably in obvious or invisible ways? Now, being seminarians, both my partner and I named Unitarian Universalism pretty early on in our lists. Despite the obviousness of that choice, the statement was powerful. I'm a lifelong Unitarian Universalist, and so I have said many times in my life, I am a Unitarian Universalist. But that day was the first time I had ever said, I belong to Unitarian Universalism. It almost gives me shivers saying that now. I belong to Unitarian Universalism. Will you try it with me? I belong to Unitarian Universalism. A statement of belonging is much riskier than a statement of being because it implies a certain level of accountability, as Douglas Steer told us. If you belong to Unitarian Universalism, you've got to answer to it when you don't live up to our principles. And you've got to hold Unitarian Universalism accountable too, right? At the same time, a statement of belonging is much richer and deeper than a statement of being. For example, one of these identities that I claim is that of a feminist. So I could say, and have many times, I am a feminist. And that would mean something, right? But what if instead I said, I belong to feminism? I belong to a long line of powerful women who have worked and are working now to dismantle patriarchy. I belong to those who have come before and to those who will come after me in this struggle. Now that is a much more profound statement of identity and of purpose. And all of this, of course, makes me wonder about how we talk about our relationship to this congregation, because that's what we're here to really think about this morning. When people ask you about church, what do you say? Do you say, I attend the Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashua? Probably some of you say that. Or maybe, I am a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashua. You might say that if it's true. Or maybe, I belong to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashua. Can we say that last one together? What do you think? I belong to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashua. Now, there's lots of opinions out there about church and belonging in our 21st century world. There are some who say that people just aren't joiners anymore. We don't like to commit, right? The world is fast-paced and fluid, and so are our identities. In the era of social media, we don't join, we like. And in the world of capitalism, we don't belong, we consume. And yet, here you all are, sitting in church on a Sunday morning. Are you here to belong, or are you here to consume? Even if you have not actually joined this church, even if you are here today for the very first time, I imagine that your presence here in these pews has got something to do with belonging. Despite the culture and rhetoric of individualism and independence, my experience is that people crave belonging. We have this almost primal need to be a part of something that is bigger than ourselves. I know that I have experienced this even more than usual over the past few months. As our world has been turned on its head, I have been all too aware that I alone can do very little. I alone have but two hands and one voice. But when I put my hand in yours and you put your hand in another's, and we raise our voices together, we are more powerful than we can imagine. We can be more, build more, love more than we ever could alone. And when we acknowledge that we belong to each other, hope is just a little easier to find, isn't it? I'm reminded of Kathy Fletcher's words on January 15th as we unveiled our Black Lives Matter banner. Kathy told us of being in a group of 5 women sitting around the table together, wondering what they could do about racism. As just 5 people, they couldn't do very much. But then they realized that they were not just 5 people, but they were 5 people who belonged to a congregation. And so they reached out a hand to us. And now dozens of you have grabbed hold, joining in on the chorus. We are being more, building more, loving more than we ever could have alone. In this new era of resistance, there are countless organizations and causes vying for your attention and your money. There are plenty of places that you could find folks to organize with. There are plenty of places that will happily take your dollars and put them to good use. So you'd think that my task here on this stewardship kickoff Sunday might be a particularly difficult one this year. With immigrants' rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, and more on the line, why would you ever waste money giving it to your church? Don't worry, I have an answer. Now, there's a whole host of reasons I could give, but I think what it really comes down to is belonging. On those days when the world outside these walls is unrecognizable, you gotta know who your people are. On those days when the weight of it all is just too much to bear, you're gonna need a place to lay down your burden and friends who will pick you up when you fall. On the days when all hope seems lost, you're gonna need a song to sing and a hand to hold to find that spark again. Now, more than ever, we need sanctuaries of resilience and hope like this one. Last week, the American Civil Liberties Union raised $24 million in online donations, which is six times their typical yearly amount. Right? Crazy. Imagine what would happen if our pledge drive got 6 times our typical yearly amount. Right? So I've got 2 big takeaways from that. Number 1, the ACLU doesn't need any more money at this particular moment. So you can safely give it to your church. And 2, that the abundance we spoke about last year in our stewardship campaign is real. We already have everything we need. The resources are here, right? All we need to do is to ask and to give out of a sense of abundance rather than out of a sense of scarcity. And so today, we're doing just that. We are asking you to breathe life into your values, as Elizabeth said, by making a financial commitment to this congregation and to all that we stand for. We are asking you to join us in building together for our future. In the midst of a world filled with hatred and fear, we are building a community of love and justice, and we need your help. While it may be true that your friends make you, you, and that your church makes you, you, it is also true that what makes this, that you are, you, each and every one of you, are what make this congregation what it is. Each of you is a part of building who we are today. And each one of you can be a part of building what we will become. If Facebook made a little dancing figure to represent this church, all of your faces would be on it. Together, we are building a community of resistance and resilience. Together, we are building a community of commitment and hope. Together, we are building a community where you, every one of you, can belong. Join us as we build together. We're counting on you.
Here in the dark, I stand before you. knowing this is my chance to show you my heart. This is the start. This is the start. I have so much to say, and I'm hoping that your arms are open. But don't turn away, I want you near me. But you have to hear me. Here's where I stand, here's who I am. Love me, but don't tell me who I have to be. Here's who I am, I'm what you see. You said I had to change and I was trying, but my heart was lying. I'm not a child any longer, I am stronger. Here's where I stand, here's who I am. Help me to move on, but please don't tell me how. I'm on my way, I'm moving now. In this life we've come so far, but we're only who we are, with the courage of love to show us the way. We've got the power to stand up and say, here's who I am. Stand up and be counted, I'm counting on you. If you're with me, we'll make it through. Here's where I stand, here's who I am. Love me, love me, love me, and we'll make it through. Here's where I stand, baby, 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 I'm counting on you. Here's where I stand. Love me, love me, love me, and we'll make it through. I'm counting. Oh, I'm counting. I'm counting. We're counting on you.